And we are back. Welcome to the final Premier League predictions video of the season. It is game week 38. First off, there's a couple of Easter eggs for you on the home screen right now. So make sure if you spot them, you let me know down in the comments if you've spotted them. But another massive thank you from me for what has been another incredible season. If you missed my 2,000 subscriber video, please check that out. I'll leave a link available to it here, where basically I discuss everything that's coming up on the channel over the next couple of months throughout the summer, and then pose the question to you guys as to what else you'd like to see from me going into next season. So if you haven't done so already, head over to that video, and like I say, let me know if there's anything else you'd want to see from me on this channel over the course of the next year as we look ahead to Premier League 2025. But as for today, as I just said, we are going to be looking at all things to do with the final day of the Premier League season taking place tomorrow. Still up for grabs, the Premier League title, positions in Europe, and possibly by some miracle a potential escape for Luton Town, which looks incredibly highly unlikely. So before we get into it, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And let's do it one last time. Premier League predictions, game week 38, begin right now. And we'll start off at the bottom with the impossible escape scenario. Luton Town are 3 points behind Nottingham Forest, but most importantly, they are 12 goals behind Nottingham Forest. In order for Luton Town to stay up, they are going to have to get a scoreline margin switch of 12 goals. So i.e. Forest lose by 6, Luton win by 6, and obviously varying margins, etc, etc, etc. If it happened, I genuinely think it would be even more of a shock than Leicester winning the Premier League. It would be absolutely staggering to see a 12-goal swing over the course of these two games up first. But let's be honest, Burnley are already relegated, and I can see them just rolling over to Nottingham Forest. I think it'll be a good game. Obviously, Burnley will want to go out on a high. It's their Premier League adventure under Vincent Kompany. They're going to want to show that they've got the credentials to go back down to the Championship and come back up for next season. But I don't see it being enough. I'm going to go for a 3-2 win to Forest. As much as I would love to see the Great Escape happen, I don't even think it's going to matter what Luton Town do. I think Forest are just going to beat Burnley anyway. So I'm going for 3-2 to Forest, which would unfortunately see Luton Town relegated back to the Championship at the first time of asking. But as for Luton Town themselves, they're obviously going to be going for it until the news filters down that Nottingham Forest are indeed winning, or etc, etc. But look, I think they'll beat Fulham. I'm going to go for 2-1. I think Luton have played well this season, but they've not had anywhere near as many wins as needed. But I think final day of the season, it's going to be a party atmosphere. I don't think the fans are going to be sitting there going, come on, come on, we're going to get all 12 goals here. You never know. If Luton score in the first 5 minutes, it might get Kenilworth Road going. But I think it's just going to be a much more relaxed game. I think it's just going to be a final opportunity for them to soak in the Premier League. And I'm going to back them to get the win. I'm going for 2-1 to Luton Town. On to two matches where not really anything's on the line. You've got Crystal Palace against Aston Villa and then Liverpool against Wolves. And then we'll slowly work our way up the table to the crunch end. For Crystal Palace and Villa, I think this is just going to be a really fun game. Oliver Glasner's Crystal Palace playing some fantastic stuff. Aston Villa, of course, qualified for the Champions League after Manchester City's victory over Tottenham earlier this week. Both sides are going to be really happy with the way they've played over the last few months. And I think really both sides are just going to be looking to avoid injuries to players that are going to be going to the European Championship. So I think it's going to be an open and fun affair. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Honestly, I think all three possibilities are available in this one. Like I say, there's going to be players looking to avoid injury in this one. That's going to have much more of a friendly feel about it. Next up, Liverpool and Wolves in Jurgen Klopp's final game in charge of Liverpool. We spoke about party atmospheres already. There's not going to be a bigger party atmosphere than at Liverpool, unless possibly Arsenal manage to pull off the result over Man City when we get to that later on. But it's obviously going to be a big send-off for Jurgen Klopp. I can see it being a very open game, as you can imagine. Wolves are not going to want to go down. They're not going to want to get rolled over on the final day of the season. They may look to have Pedro Neto back in the side as well, which could make things very interesting. They finally have that front three of Hwang, Cunha and Neto available. But ultimately, it's Jurgen Klopp's farewell. I think Liverpool are going to go out blazing. I'm going to go for a 5-2 win to Liverpool. I still think they'll ship goals. They're probably going to overcommit, trying to get as many goals as possible. So I'm going to go for a 5-2 in that one. Now for the race for Europe. And The side with the absolute near impossible task of qualifying for Europe tomorrow is, of course, my club, Manchester United. Their focus needs to be on the FA Cup final if they want to get into Europe for next season. Although I see some people saying it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if Man United don't qualify for Europe. I still would like to. I still think the club needs to be in a European competition just to further the prestige of the club. But if it means we have a better chance of getting into the Champions League or even challenging for a title next season by not being in Europe, obviously we'll address that this time next year. But as for this game itself, we always struggle against Brighton. We just have a really bad record going to Brighton. I still think, though, we're trying to build on something. These last couple of matches against Arsenal, against Newcastle, we've been trying to build that formula, build that rhythm going into Manchester City's FA Cup final next weekend. And do you know what? I fancy us. I really do. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to Manchester United. It's the last day of the season. Allow me one last bias prediction before I predict us to lose like 5 or 6-0 next weekend. Come on now. Next up, a side with a little bit more chance of qualifying for Europe, and that is Newcastle taking on Brentford. They would need to win and hope that Chelsea lose in the final game in order to get above them in terms of finishing 6th. I do think Newcastle are going to get the win. I think Brentford are going to make it tough for them. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Newcastle. I think they've just got so much attacking prowess. They missed chances against Manchester United the other day. I thought Manchester United played really well, but Newcastle did miss chances. And I think Brentford are possibly liable to give them even more. So I'm going to go for 3-1 to Newcastle. Chelsea, on the other hand, I believe can still finish 5th, if I'm right. Let me just double check that quickly whilst I'm doing this live. Yes, they can. Chelsea can still finish 5th. So if Chelsea win and Tottenham lose, due to the goal difference, Chelsea can leapfrog Spurs. And obviously, if Chelsea do win, they are guaranteed to finish 6th. Even if they draw, Chelsea are guaranteed to finish 6th. So, real opportunity for Chelsea, who have massively turned their season round since Christmas, to really sign off the season in a high. I'm going to go for 2-0. I really like the way they've been playing recently. It looks like Pochettino's finally got this young side starting to build something. And who knows? Where could they finish next season? Find out in my Premier League predictions coming to you very, very soon. But I'm going to go for 2-0 to Chelsea, which will at least see them finish 6th, depending on how Tottenham now do against Sheffield United. Obviously, Sheffield United already relegated, already have racked up the worst defensive display of any Premier League side ever. 101 goals conceded, a goal difference of -66. Final home game for them, kind of like we said about Burnley and Luton. It's an opportunity to celebrate their last day in the Premier League. So I think they'll be up for it, but Tottenham can't afford any slip-ups. Yes, they did lose to Manchester City, but I thought they played relatively well in the game. I would expect them to sign off in style. Ange was obviously not very happy with the attitude of some of those Spurs players and especially the Spurs fans in that Manchester City game. So he'll be looking for maximum effort from Spurs in this final game, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Tottenham. I still think Sheffield will score. I still think Spurs leave too many gaps in behind, and Sheffield, with their whole wing back and pace in behind strikers, probably will get at least one goal against Tottenham. That then brings us to the main event of the Premier League season. 2 games to decide the destination of the title. Arsenal at home to Everton, Manchester City at home to West Ham. Can it happen? Can Arsenal actually win the Premier League title from what seems like an unassailable position? Firstly, they've got to do their job. They have got to beat Everton, who, as we know, have been playing some fantastic stuff recently and have 5 clean sheets. And I think in their last 7 games, albeit those 5 clean sheets all being at home. So they're not going to make it easy for Arsenal to roll over them and get the win. But there's a lot of weird coincidences in terms of former players and Arsenal manager, in terms of Mikel Arteta. Obviously, Everton being his former club before moving to Arsenal. David Moyes being Arteta's former manager in charge of West Ham going into the City game. There's a lot of weird things going around it about, could something happen? Is it written in the stars that all of these players in Arteta's past come together to show their big triumph overall? I'm going to do Arsenal to beat Everton. I'm going to do 2-0. I think that's about right. As I say, Everton have defended very well recently. No side has defended better than Arsenal. I think they are going to sign off with a win. But who knows? The pressure might just get to them, especially if West Ham score first. We don't really know how this Arsenal side is going to cope with serious pressure put on them. For me, when we saw the Bayern Munich game, they should have done a lot better and they failed. So we'll see. I still expect Arsenal to sign off with the win, which means it's over to Manchester City to get the job done against West Ham. Can they do it again like they always do? They're an absolute machine. West Ham got thrashed, 5-0 by Chelsea last week. They're already on their holidays. They came together for the win against Luton because it was David Moyes' last game as West Ham manager in front of the West Ham fans. Yes, Moyes is Arteta's former manager. Yes, Declan Rice used to play for West Ham, and some of the West Ham players have come out and said, we want to do it for Declan. Half of them are on their holiday. It's Manchester City away. 4-0. Honestly, I'll be shocked if West Ham even score. I really would be. Manchester City in these last couple of games have been absolutely phenomenal. Granted, I say phenomenal. They weren't at their absolute best against Spurs. But defensively, they were so switched on. In terms of build-up play, they were so patient. Realistically, they only gave away that one chance to Heung-min Son. And Ortega did fantastically well to save it. And he'll obviously be in goal for this game and the FA Cup final. But honestly, I just think they're too good. They're just so good. And I just don't think West Ham are going to put up anywhere near enough resistance to stop Manchester City from winning their 4th league title in a row. So I'm going to go for 4-0 City, which will be 4 league titles in a row, ironically, as I go for the 4-0. And yeah, that will see the end of the season finishing like that, with Forest finishing safe, Tottenham getting 5th, Chelsea getting 6th, and Manchester City wrapping up the league title. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. Could we see a massive upset somewhere in this league table? Could Luton pull off the miracle escape? Could Manchester United somehow pip Newcastle to 7th? Could Newcastle pip Chelsea to 6th? Could Chelsea pip Tottenham to 5th? And obviously, can Arsenal pull off the miracle and overturn Manchester City with a little bit of help from West Ham? Let me know all those thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for what has been another unbelievable season on this channel. Loads of wrap-up videos and predictions and squad builders for my England team going into the Euros coming up for you over the next couple of weeks. So like I said, make sure you check out my video I posted the other day for 2,000 subscribers, breaking down all those videos that I've got coming up. And like I say, let me know some more ideas in the comment section below as to what you'd like to see coming up from me next season as well. One last thank you very much from me, and I will see you again very, very soon.